ladies and gentlemen, the Freeman Mazda stat of the week. And we're talking tight ends now. There's a battle. There's an obvious battle going on at tight end. And you can think about Schoonmaker. You can think about Jake Ferguson and the rest of them. But those two are the guys that are going to fight for the starting role. Schoonmaker, Ferguson, who's going to be the number one tight end on the team. We've talked a lot about the athleticism of Schoonmaker and how it's superior to that of Ferguson's, even after a year in which he flashed as a very promising rookie, had some plays that were just a fantastic effort type plays for yards after the catch. We saw Ferguson's hurdle. We saw him juke defenders at a very high rate even. And I think that we have lost some perspective into what he did in very limited playing time. Yes, very limited playing time. But it was so impressive when he was on the field. And I looked up some numbers about Jake Ferguson's season, and that is the Freeman Mazda stat of the week. It has basically 3 different levels. Now, I did cheat a little bit here because I set the minimum targets to 23, which is exactly the amount of targets that Jake Ferguson had. Because if you do 20%, you're going to get like 36 targets, and Jake Ferguson is not going to show up on that list. That is how little Ferguson actually played for the Cowboys in 2022. I want to make that very clear. He doesn't even meet the threshold that sites like PFF give you, which is 20% of the targets, and that's the minimum playing time for you to show up in a certain category of stats. So I did it because I customized my search. I used a minimum of 3 targets, and if you do that, then Jake Ferguson was the 5th best tight end in yards per route run. He had the 10th highest receiving grade in the entire NFL. And when targeted, the NFL passer rating for his quarterbacks, basically Dak Prescott, he was the 3rd best tight end in the NFL. But I love that yards per route run stat right at the top. Top 5 tight end. And let me tell you who he was behind of and who he was tied with. He was only behind the Tennessee Titans tight end Okonkwo, who's number 1 actually on the list. He was just behind Travis Kelce, just behind George Kittle, and he was tied with Dallas Goedert. That is my Freeman Mazda stat of the week. Let me know in the chat, what do you think as of right now? Do you think that Jake Ferguson, yes or no, wins the battle for tight end number 1 in the NFL? Let me know in the chat while you do that. And before I give you my answer, let me talk to you about our friends over at freemanmazda.net, because they make this show possible, and they are the ones who bring you these questions, who bring you these stats, and we have to talk about their wide range of new and used vehicles. Keep in mind that you can check out their dealership at Irving, Texas, but you can also browse through their collection of cars at freemanmazda.net. In there, you can see pictures of the outside and inside of every vehicle. You can check out the features of every car, and yes, that includes our ride of the week, which we dive into every single week here on Primetime, every single night. In this case, it is a new 2024 Mazda CX-90 2.5 Premium Plus all-wheel drive. It's a plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. It starts at $58,475. It's got all-wheel drive. It's got a Wi-Fi hotspot. It's got 3rd row seating, a sunroof, and yes, rear air conditioning. So you can check out the Freeman Mazda ride of the week that is making this show possible and this stat possible for us. Now let's get to the question. Let's get to what you're saying. Can Jake Ferguson keep his starting role